Hi and welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Linda. I am the owner of SchminkenGrime, a special effects makeup store in the Netherlands, and we are going to do a little series on effects makeup. So the makeup you can use to actually create effects with on your skin. I'm going to make a few of these videos in this Halloween season, which are the Rigid Collodion, the wax, latex, gelatin, and obviously also on skin silicone. But for today, the first video, I am going to work with Rigid Collodion, a product we have by Meron. So Rigid Collodion comes in a very small bottle and you can really make nice and realistic looking scars with Rigid Collodion. So you can just put the Rigid Collodion in a few layers on your skin and you will have a scar. But when you want to make the most of your scar, you do want to put some color under the Rigid Collodion. So if you look on any website, they probably are going to suggest that you put a pencil liner under your scar, like a auburn color, a brown color, or a red color, just to show the stage and the age of a scar. You can obviously just go crazy with this, and that's what I'm going to do today. So I have the SFX palette by Encore. These are alcohol activated makeup colors, and I'm gonna really make a nice and kind of angry looking scar, and that's what I'm gonna do with the red colors. I also have the blood palette by Encore. The lid is kind of broken, but it still works. There is a few brownish colors of red in here to suggest dried blood. So as inspiration, I'm going to go with the picture that is on the packaging. This one has been created by Katie. That is on the back of the package, otherwise I wouldn't have known that. But she did a very large, mean looking scar, which we are going to replicate. So first up, I'm going to pour some alcohol in a little cup to activate the alcohol activated makeup with, and then we have to think on where we're gonna put that scar. So basically the skin that has bone directly under it doesn't really stretch as much as, for instance, the area on your cheek. It just has more flexibility to it and probably gives you a deeper scar. You can definitely make a scar on your forehead, on your nose, or on your chin, but it just won't be as deep as when you put it somewhere on your cheek. Well, as Rigid Collodion is a rigid layer on your skin, you do really need to think about where you are going to put that Rigid Collodion, because if you put it very close to your mouth and you stretch when you open your mouth, probably the layer of Rigid Collodion will eventually break. So I'm going to put it a little bit back on my cheek, so I know it is going to be there for as long as I want it to be. Now I have the basic shape. I am going to continue with red because I want it to be kind of an angry looking scar. So I'm going to start out just by getting the red on those edges. So I'm putting the makeup on my skin and immediately dabbing it so I don't really see the line I put on there. And there is the base of the scar. So now we can continue with the Rigid Collodion, and when you open it up, it really smells bad. So if you are going to use this at your house, please make sure you have a well ventilated area, because you will smell it for a long time. Rigid Collodion is applied on the skin in layers, so there is a little brush in the lid and you can use it to apply it. So basically it is very easy. You just get the Rigid Collodion and color all of the scar. And when you have the entire layer on there, you have to wait a minute or two to let that layer dry completely. So I didn't say it until now, but you don't want to put Rigid Collodion on your lips. You don't want to put it on the soft tissue under your eyes or on your eyelids. Putting it on there is quite okay. It might sting a little bit, but it's okay. It is the removing the rigid collodion from your lips and around your eyes that really hurts, and you can actually give yourself a little wound if you try to remove it from that soft tissue. So choose a different area than your lips or your eyes to put rigid collodion on. So I have just one layer of rigid collodion on the skin at this point, and I can already feel the skin pulling together and starting to create that scar. So I think on the website we have the recommendation to put 3 to 5 layers of rigid collodion on the skin to really create a realistic looking scar. But to be honest, the more layers you put on, the deeper the scar will get. So usually I will go like 6, 7, 8 layers of rigid collodion until I have the depth I really want for my scar. I applied about 8 layers of the rigid collodion on my skin and gave it about 10 minutes to dry, because it does really need to dry to really make that skin pull together. And for the bottle of rigid collodion I used about 1/3 of the bottle, so that is pretty okay. I could make a few of these sized scars on the rest of my face to make my Halloween makeup. You can make way more smaller scars, of course, but if you have the rigid collodion you can make a pretty decent amount of scars with it. If you want to store the rigid collodion for a longer period of time, you need to be sure that the lid is properly closed, and make sure you put it somewhere in a dark, dry and cool space, because if you have it for this year, a Halloween, and you don't store it the right way, next year you won't be able to use your rigid collodion again. So as you can see, it is pretty easy to create a rigid collodion scar, especially when you put a few colors under it. You can really create gruesome, realistic looking effects with it. And when your party is over, you obviously want to remove the rigid collodion again. So on the back of the card of the rigid collodion, Maron has wrote that you can use the Maron spirit gum remover to remove the rigid collodion again. So if you put the spirit gum remover on it, it will dissolve the rigid collodion. Usually I am not that patient, so I just peel off a little bit of that scar. And I can just pull the entire scar from my skin. So as you can see, the makeup actually sticks to the rigid collodion, and here is the scar we have created. So as you can see, the skin turns red where I just pulled away the rigid collodion. It's because it was really stuck to my skin, and it probably has removed all the dead skin cells that were on there. So this will turn red, but in about 15-20 minutes it will also just be my normal skin again. I have a very oily skin, so mine recovers kind of fast from these removing actions. If you have a very sensitive skin, it might hurt, and you probably want to use the Maron spirit gum remover to get rid of your rigid collodion scar. And that is it for the how to work with the rigid collodion video I have for you for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of our Halloween videos or makeup videos, face paint videos, special effects makeup videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned on all the videos we upload. For now, I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope to see you back here at our YouTube channel. Bye!